Now let's begin with the first function นะครับ in this set that is Pmt function นะครับ let's see I will begin with the Pmt function นะครับ in order to use this function นะครับ let's understand it first what is it นะครับ what does it mean so we will go to insert function here นะครับ and then we type Pmt and then click go นะครับ okay so the for function Pmt actually function Pmt is a payment function นะครับ Pmt is the payment stand for payment this function require 5 arguments inside นะครับ if you have a look we have rate n per pv fv and type if you remember rate n per pv fv are like the rest of the function in this set we have one extra argument that is type นะครับ that is not any function here it's just an argument that I'll explain to you next on นะครับ for Pmt this Pmt function or payment function is a function that used to calculate the payments นะครับ calculate the payment นะครับ how much do we have to pay per each period of time นะครับ for a loan based on constant payments นะครับ and constant interest rate that I told you that there are 2 assumptions นะครับ for this set of function first is constant payment you pay equally นะครับ and a constant interest rate นะครับ means that the interest rate is charged equally นะครับ for the whole contract period when we have the Pmt here นะครับ let's see the arguments here นะครับ what are they rate นะครับ rate is the interest rate นะครับ n per นะครับ n per is number of period n per is number of period นะครับ pv is present value that means the value of the money that is worth now นะครับ fv is future value นะครับ is future value I'll just like show you again when we are in the example นะครับ fv is future value that means the value of the money นะครับ at the end of the period end of contractual period นะครับ for example if you ask for the loan for a year นะครับ pv or present value means that the value of the money that we have got now นะครับ on the first day that the contract start and for fv future value means that at the end of 1 year นะครับ how much นะครับ is the value of the money นะครับ that is the meaning of pv or fv and type is the extra argument นะครับ it tells us that okay when do you have to pay the money นะครับ for this loan นะครับ you want to pay at the beginning of the period or at the end of the period นะครับ every time okay I'll show you when we just like see the example นะครับ okay when you just like click on the function Pmt นะครับ when you click Pmt and then click OK you can see that when you would like to know the meaning of each argument you just move the mouse นะครับ to that box and click for example in here rate is interest rate for per period for the loan นะครับ in here n per total number of payment นะครับ for the loan pv present value fv future value นะครับ type นะครับ is the value that tell us when you want to pay it's just 0 or 1 only นะครับ now let's understand the meaning of this explanation a bit นะครับ type is a logical value logical value is the value that we use for comparison นะครับ it is not like numbers like 5 6 7 8 or 1000 นะครับ logical value is true or false yes or no นะครับ it tells the logic ครับ yes or no true or false in this one the logical value here they use 1 or 0 นะครับ 1 or 0 what does it mean นะครับ if you use 1 that means the payment is made at the end of the period 0 I'm sorry นะครับ I just like put the wrong one just like switch it if the type is 1, it means that payment made at the beginning of the period. For example, beginning of the month, or beginning of the quarter, or beginning of the week. So, okay, let's see. Suppose we have month like this. Okay, let me just show you in here. Suppose we talk about month 1 and month 2. The first day of the month, let's say the 30th, and then the first day of another month, 30th, the 30th day of the second month. If you say that, okay, you want to pay at the beginning of the period, for example, you want to pay on the first of every month like this, you just put the argument type as 1. But if you say that, no, for me, I want to pay at the end of the month, then you have to specify type as 0. Because in the payment, normally you can choose when would you like to pay, at the beginning or at the end of the period. But I mean, like, I can tell you that most of the time, people usually prefer to pay at the end of the period. At the end of the period. So that's why the type is 0 or omitted. This word is important as well, omitted. Omitted means that if you don't put it, if you don't put this value, it's equals to you enter type 0. This is the meaning of omitted. So this one means that, okay, you have to know that, okay, whenever you have this kind of payment, when would you like to pay? Why is that? Why do you have to specify the type? Because the charging of the interest will be different. If you pay at the beginning, and you pay at the end. Because, for example, if you choose pay at the beginning, let's say month 1 comparison, it's 30 days that you have to be charged by the interest. So that's why you have to specify to the calculation. Calculating an interest for a month. Let's imagine that if you ask the loan to the bank for, let's say, 20 million baht, and the period is at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month, the difference in 30 days, the interest will be a lot different. That's why you have to specify as well. Let's see in the example, and then you understand more. Okay, I'll explain to you how do you gonna calculate for this example. Just one below. Okay, the example in here, I typed the example, the text in the example for you in the chat box. And copy this one for your own. So let's interpret the meaning of the problem before we start formulating it. The first one, we say that monthly payments on a loan of 50,000. So that means in this question, it asks for monthly payment. Just these words, it tells us for 2 things. The first one, you need to find the payment. And second one, you pay monthly. That's why it said monthly payment. You know 2 things already. Okay. So when you know that, you also find the payment. The function that we have to use is Pmt. The function that we have to use is Pmt. So when it is Pmt, I'll just like put the argument list first, and then we start entering the data for each argument. So the payment function or Pmt function requires rate and per PV, FV, and type. Okay, this is a Pmt function or payment function. Okay, so now let's continue reading more on our problem. You asked to find the loan of 50,000. That means you will borrow the money from the financial institution for $50,000. Next, $50,000. What is it? 50,000 means the amount of money that you get from the bank when you borrow the money from the bank นะครับ so that means when you borrow the money from the bank we say that now we get 50,000 from the loan นะครับ what does it mean? That means on day one นะครับ on day one you have $50,000 because if the bank grant you this loan you get that money. So if we say that now we get $50,000 from the loan นะครับ it is present value because we said that it's now นะครับ present value. So in this one I will put 50,000 as the present value นะครับ 50,000 as the amount of present value. Next นะครับ this is to be paid off in full. This is another keyword that you have to know. When it is paid off in full, it means that at the end of the contract you have no more debts left, because if you don't pay it in full it means that at the end of the contract you still have to pay something more. For example, sometimes the calculation นะครับ would like to have you to just like pay half of it first นะครับ and after that the bank will charge you in another interest นะครับ and whatever thing นะครับ that will be described. But in this one it said that you want to pay it off in full. That means okay, it said that we have no more debt left when the contract is ended. So what does it mean? This one tells us about FV or future value. Future value means that at the end of the contract, how much do we still owe the money? In this case, it said that paid off in full. It means that we have no more debt. Then the FV is 0. นะครับ FV is 0. Next นะครับ over 5 years นะครับ we paid in full over 5 years. That means 5 years is the contractual period. So for the contractual period is 5 years. What does this number 5, item number 5 tell us? It tells us that, okay, when the contractual period is 5 years, how many times do you have to pay? If you remember, in item number 2, we said that we pay monthly, and the contractual period is 5 years. How many times in total do we have to pay? How many times do we have to pay? So that means when you pay monthly, that means you pay 12 times per year, right? 12 times per year. And you have to pay for 5 years. That means in total, you have to pay 60 times, right? 12 times 5. So in this one, it goes to n per or number of period that you have to pay. So it is 12 times 5. นะครับ 12 times 5. That is 60. นะครับ so n per in this case is 60. Is from 12 times 5. นะครับ okay. All right. Any question for n per? Anyone? Okay. So if you don't have any question, let me just like move on to the next phrase that you have to know. Now it comes to the interest rate. It said that interest rate is 5% per year. This is important นะครับ 5% per year here. You cannot enter 5% in the rate straight away นะครับ don't do that be careful why is that the rate นะครับ must be calculated according to the frequency that we pay you can see that in this one we say that we pay monthly นะครับ we pay monthly then the rate must be converted to monthly rate first because if you don't convert it will be the rate per year and it will be too much นะครับ so that means if you enter 5% นะครับ in here it means that it will become 5% it will become 60% per year instead because if you type 5% here นะครับ Excel will think that is 5% per month and after that when you convert when you calculate it will be very very expensive that's why you have to change it to be monthly rate first how to calculate from percent per year to be percent per month ครับ can somebody tell me you can type in the chat box นะครับ or you can speak on your microphone in order to make the rate per month okay ธนพล said that you have to divide it by 12 that's right ครับ because if it's 5% per year when you want to convert to per month rate per month it must be cheaper นะครับ cheaper than I mean not cheaper the percentage must be lesser than just like 5% then you have to divide it by number of months yeah that's correct ครับ you divide it by 12 so it is equals to 5% by 12 by 12 นะครับ so this one you have to be careful นะครับ it is not really 0% if you remember from the last class I told you that when you see some numbers นะครับ on the cell it is just the displaying it is not rounding นะครับ it's just display as 0 but actually it's not so how do you gonna review the real interest rate นะครับ in here you can see that we go to home menu นะครับ go to number group and then we increase decimal points so that you can see the interest rate นะครับ in more precise or you can just like right click and choose format cell and then add the decimal places as well นะครับ this is the way that we can do นะครับ okay this is the interest rate per month นะครับ per month then I just like type in another cell that it is per month so that I will not forget per month okay now the last phrase payment made at end of each month made at end of each month it tells us about the type นะครับ for the type here end of each month นะครับ we use type 0 when you pay at the end นะครับ of the period it is 0 but if it say that pay at the beginning of the month the type will be 1 instead นะครับ type is a logical value นะครับ 0 or 1 only on some terms before I found that student when they calculate they use type to be something like 50,000 or something no นะครับ type is just logical value 0 or 1 to state that okay when do we pay the money นะครับ so in here it's 0 ครับ so now we have like all arguments that we want already นะครับ we are going to calculate the PMT นะครับ when we calculate PMT นะครับ I will just like use the relative reference นะครับ to refer to these values นะครับ okay I just click fx and then PMT is the recent function that we have got นะครับ or if you don't have PMT in the list just type PMT and click go then we have PMT we click OK I'll start entering all the referencing for this value rate นะครับ is in C19 นะครับ it shows the value that Excel will be used to calculate นะครับ N per 60 PV 50,000 FV0 type 0, oh sorry, type 0 in here. So you can see that the intermediate result is showing that it is negative 943.56 negative 943.56. Somebody may think that is it wrong? Why does it show as negative? Okay, I'll explain to you. You can see that right now all the values that we put are correct already. Correct already according to our just like analyzing of this problem. We try to enter all of the values correctly. Okay, now let me just like click OK first. If you remember, for the formatting of the cells, long time ago when I talk about it, I said that somebody may set up the format of the cell to be like for the negative value, it shows like parentheses, and in red color something like this. So now let me just like reformat the cell a bit to be shown in negative symbol so that you can see it easily. Okay, this one, negative $943.56. Okay, so negative 943.56, what does it mean? It means that, okay, you have to pay $943.56. What is negative? Negative means pay. If you pay out, if the money is out of your pocket, we use negative. We use negative values for that amount of money. If the money is coming into your pocket, we use positive amount. In this one, it applies for PMT, PV and FV. Anything that is amount of money in our calculation. So in this one, you can see that when we have the PV, we enter 50,000 and we didn't change anything. Why is that? Because PV is the present value. In this case, is the amount of money that we get from the bank. The money is coming into your pocket. That's why we put positive value. And PMT, you pay out the money every month. That's why the amount of money is negative. It's not wrong. It's just like tell us that, okay, the symbol in here just tell us that, okay, it's outgoing money. And positive means the incoming money. You see more when you just like learn for other examples and other functions when the amount of money becomes negative. Sometimes you yourself have to enter negative value for that amount of money if the money is out of your pocket. Okay, right. Any questions about this first example? The first example explanation is a bit slow, but from now on it will be quicker. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, the next example, I would like you to do it by yourself. Okay. So for the second example here, I want, I'll give you 5 minutes to calculate. 5 minutes to calculate. Okay, you can start doing it now. If you get the answer already, please type your answer in the chat box so that I know that you finished already and what value that you get for the PMT. Okay, time's up. So right now I see many of you answer in the chat box already. There are 2 different answers. Variation. Some of you answer as negative 685. One of you enter as negative 284. Okay. So in this one, let me show you which value is the correct one. In this case, you can see that it said quarterly payments. Quarterly payments, it means that you pay 4 times a year นะครับ right, because it is quarterly payment, you pay 4 times a year นะครับ or you pay every 3 months นะครับ that means that is the meaning of the quarterly payment. But this case นะครับ is the investment is not a loan นะครับ as I told you, the loan and investment you can use like the same function to calculate นะครับ as long as you can just like maintain the conditions นะครับ or the assumption that I told you before, constant payment and constant interest rate นะครับ okay. Now when we have like the quarterly payment already นะครับ we say that current value is 0. Current value is 0 means that okay, currently or present value is 0. Okay. Next, which is required to reach 5,000 over 2 years. When you want to have 5,000 นะครับ when you want to have 5,000 that means in the future นะครับ when the contractual period of the investment finish, you want to get 5,000. That means 5,000 goes to your future value. And at that time, the money 5,000 will be in your pocket. So that's why it will be positive 5,000 นะครับ positive 5,000. Next, the word 2 years tell us that how many times do you have to pay นะครับ you pay 4 times per year and you pay for 2 years. That means the n per or number of period is นะครับ 4 times per year times 2 years นะครับ so that means you pay 8 times altogether นะครับ the next one, interest rate is 3.5% per year, but anyway you pay quarterly. You have to change the rate to be percent per quarter first. So in order to make the percentage to be quarterly interest rate นะครับ because quarter นะครับ it means that in each year you pay 4 times, then you have to divide 3.5% by 4 นะครับ to get the interest rate. So in this one it is 3.5% by 4 นะครับ. This one is the interest rate per quarter, per quarter. And I make it to be percent symbol instead. Increase decimal points. Okay. And then lastly นะครับ payment made at start of each quarter นะครับ type is 1. Alright, okay. So now I just like formulate this one นะครับ by using Pmt function, rate, n per, PV, FV, and type. So you can see that the answer goes to negative 685. So that means นะครับ that means in each quarter นะครับ in each quarter you have to pay $600.85 นะครับ $600.85. Yeah, for anyone who answers 685, that's correct already. So I have a question in the chat box นะครับ. Can you explain the type again? When should it be 0 or 1? Okay, so you just consider this one ครับ payment made at start or end of the period. This one you can see that if you have quarter 1, quarter 2 นะครับ the first day of the quarter or the last day of the quarter นะครับ this one it said that payment made at start of each quarter. Every time then when the payment made at the start of that period you use 1 นะครับ for type but if you pay at the end นะครับ of the quarter นะครับ or of that period you use 0 for type นะครับ this is the meaning so that's why in the previous example you can see that type was 0 type was 0 because we say that we pay at the end of the month that is the meaning of the type. Okay, so any other question for second example here? Okay, so if you don't have any questions นะครับ let's move on to the next function. The next function that I'm going to talk about นะครับ is FV function. FV function is a function that is used to calculate the future value of money นะครับ let's see the explanation นะครับ or the description of this function first before we start talking about the example นะครับ so I just use another way to insert this function. I go to formulas menu, click on insert function. I get the same thing ครับ get a pop-up box here. I use FV นะครับ in here. FV returns the future value of an investment based on periodic, constant payment, and a constant interest rate. Okay, so in this one, let's see the explanation of this description. It said that, okay, return future value. That means if you invest for 5 years, we want to know that at the end of the 5th year, how much will you get? This one will return the amount of money for FV. Based on periodic means that you pay at the certain period of time. And the next one, constant payment and constant interest rate, is the assumption that I told you that we always have to use. Okay, now let's see the arguments for FV. As I mentioned earlier, when you use this FV as the function, the rest of the function in this set will become the arguments instead. So we have rate, N per, PMT, PV, and type. Rate, N per, PMT, PV. These are like other functions. Like the PMT we studied before. Here it becomes just an argument in this function. Type is the same. Type is specified when you would like to pay. You use 0 if the payment is at the end of the period, and type is 1 when you pay at the beginning of the period. And don't forget if the money is going out of your pocket, you use negative symbol for that amount of money. This one you have to be careful, otherwise the calculation result will be error. Okay, so when we have this one already, now let's see the example. We learn by the example. Okay, so in this example, you are asked to find the future value of an investment. Okay, let before we talk about the interpretation of this question, let me just put all of my required argument first. These are what we want in the argument list. Okay, now let's see in this problem, we say that we want to have future value. That means we want FV in this problem of an investment. Yeah, this case is the investment, not the loan. Okay, of $1,000 per month. Of $1,000 per month. This is from this phrase. It tells us for 2 arguments. First one, you invest $1,000 per month. That is PMT. And it said that, okay, per month in here, it means that you pay monthly. The next one, over 5 years. When it said that the contract is 5 years and you pay monthly, this one tells us about the N per. So the N per means that you have to pay altogether 12 times per year times 5 นะครับ that is N per. Okay. Next, present value. In this one it tell you present value นะครับ that PV is 0 นะครับ next นะครับ interest rate is 5% per year. And in this case, you can see that because you pay monthly, you have to change the rate to be rate per month first. So you have to divide rate by 12, then you get the rate per month. Okay. And number 6, it said that pay at the end of each month. Then that means type is what ครับ 0 or 1 ครับ everyone can you type yeah 0 that's correct ครับ yeah that's correct นะครับ type is 0 right and then we start formulating it in this one นะครับ rates for the rate it is 5% by 12 5% divided by 12 นะครับ this is the rate n per equals to 12 times 5 yeah okay PMT นะครับ PMT it said that we want to pay monthly don't forget นะครับ I told you that if you pay out or if the money is out of your pocket นะครับ you have to put negative symbol นะครับ be careful นะครับ not positive because you pay out of your pocket the money is out then the symbol is negative นะครับ negative 1,000 PV present value is 0 นะครับ and type is 0 too so I just like start the FV function here นะครับ and then I start entering all of the arguments you can see that in here นะครับ in here the intermediate result is showing $68,006 นะครับ and 8 cents นะครับ okay so this one is our future value นะครับ this is our future value that we would get นะครับ okay so before I just like move on to the next example and let you do it do you have any questions about the values in each argument okay if you don't have any questions about this นะครับ let me just like tell you about like one interesting information ครับ let's have a look นะครับ in this example we say we pay out $1,000 per month right we pay $1,000 per month and we say that we pay 60 months right in here if you multiply them together that means it's 60,000 นะครับ but the future value here is 68,000 นะครับand $6 so that means in this case $8,006 8 cents here นะครับ is your interest that you will receive นะครับ because the original payment you pay just 60,000 only นะครับ as we pay equally 60 months นะครับ so the $8,006 8 cents is your interest ครับ okay this is the interesting numbers that you should know okay now let's go to the example number 2, and this one I want you to do it by yourself นะครับ Okay, so in this example I would like you to find the future value as well นะครับ Okay, so just spend 5 minutes นะครับ on this example ครับ Let's start now ครับ everyone. It's 1 more minute นะครับ So right now many of you start showing your answer already นะครับ Okay, time's up นะครับ Okay, for this one นะครับ it seems like everyone answer with the same question positive 39,729.46 นะครับ Now let's see whether what you did is correct or not นะครับ So firstly future value นะครับ means that we want to use we want to find FV นะครับ investment of 2,000 per quarter 2,000 per quarter here means that you want to pay out นะครับ PMT นะครับ negative 2,000 because you want to pay out so I just like start entering negative 2,000 per quarter over 4 years. So that means นะครับ the from this phrase it tells us that okay we have to pay นะครับ quarterly for 4 years. That means in each year you pay 4 times นะครับ and each and we the contractual period is 4 years. So it's 4 times 4 นะครับ in the end per นะครับ that is 16 times นะครับ that you have to pay. After that present value is 0 นะครับ PV is 0. Interest rate of 10%นะครับ 10% per year and you pay quarterly นะครับ you pay quarterly then you have to change the rate to be the rate per quarter. That means you have to divide 10% by 4 นะครับ so it is equals to 10% by 4. Sorry, I just put the wrong one. Yeah, 10% by 4 นะครับ that is 0.025 นะครับ or 2.5%. And then for the type นะครับ pay at the start of the quarter that is 1. Then you just formulate นะครับ this one then we get 39,729.46. Yeah, this is what you just like show me in the chat box นะครับ this is correct. And for this one future value means that the amount of money that we will receive นะครับ at the end of contractual period นะครับ it is positive values. Yeah, we get the money. But for PMT it's payment, you pay out. So that's why it is negative values นะครับ okay here. Okay then นะครับ that you did a good job for this example นะครับ that is very good นะครับ so I'll stop my lecture at this point นะครับ and on the next class we'll continue talking about the rest of the financial functions ครับ so up to this point do you have any questions